Hello friends, welcome to another video. I'm Rachel Horton-White with Soulful Work Intuitive Consulting, as many of you know. Today I'd like to talk about one of my favorite topics. It's actually not just a favorite topic, it is what I do and why I am doing this work with you now. And it is our collective awakening, the shift in consciousness, the energetic shift that is happening on our planet right now. I'll start with a story. I woke up, maybe it was about a year ago, walked downstairs, turned on the radio, and there was something either about the presidential election at the time or some kind of terrorist attack or a horrible thing that happened on the radio. And I was listening, and all of a sudden a switch went off in my head. It was like somebody flicked it to on. And I thought, it's not real. It's not real. I don't believe what they're telling me. And I'd never experienced anything like that before. I'd always wondered, why is the news so negative? I don't see all these horrible things happening around me. So why do they tell us that in other parts of the world? Does the other cities just have lots of horrible people living in them doing violent things? So that was just a piece of many questions I'd had for my whole life. Why is it like this? Why is that like that? Why? All these questions. And when I walked downstairs that day and I listened to the radio, I believe that was the beginning of my awakening, which is a kind of a funny way to say it, but it was my expansion, my seeing through illusions. And the only way I realized that I had been able to do that was because I had left my stressful job, I started meditating again, and I started talking to my higher guidance, something beyond myself. Working with light, working with clearing my third eye, which is the center between our eyebrows, the pineal gland. So I knew that I had been opening myself. I had been clearing a lot of the fears and the doubts and the worries, especially through my former career, that had been blocking me to intuitively seeing things in a new way. So after this day happened, I started doing all kinds of research on all kinds of topics. Yes, some of them were borderline conspiracy theory, which is a term created to discredit alternative views out there. And so before you think that this is a conspiracy theory video, I just want to say that this is sharing a different perspective. If you've heard this out there, and you've heard this before out there, and I honestly want to say that there is a lot of stuff on the internet. You can find anything out there. But even the conspiracy theory websites, there's a lot of fear there. So be discerning about what you are going to believe to be true. And even I read things that I will be like, oh yeah, I resonate with that. Oh no, I'm not so sure about that. So what do? I tap into my intuition and I try to just go with what feels right for me. So after this happened about a year ago, maybe it was more than that, I'd been waiting. I had started seeing everything in a different way. What I was hearing on the TV, what the commercials were trying to sell me, what all this fear and anger trying to divide people through the political situation, especially the presidential election at the time, which was Trump and Clinton, a big one. And then through why is it that the pharmaceutical industry is pushing so many pills on people? It's keeping us asleep. Why is it that public schools, for the most part, some of them are changing, but teach kids to learn only in this little box, and our creative selves are not allowed to flourish? I know I went through that in my own public schooling experience, for the most part. Why is it that people are suffering in the economic world? There's not enough money to go around. When we're living in the United States, in the richest country in the world, and there are people who are starving. It's not normal. It's not right. So I started connecting the dots. So we are all expanding. We are all awakening to who we really are, to our inner power, to our spiritual capacity to co-create what we long for in our lives. And we are also seeing what's been done to us. And so I am going to do my best not to scare you But I believe that it's important to know that we've been programmed. There's another word for that, and it's a not very good word, and that word is brainwashed. And it doesn't feel good. Nobody wants to feel like they've been brainwashed, but I believe that that is the absolute truth, and that it is important for us to see when it's happening. It's happening through TV, it's happening through some websites, it's definitely happening through the news. The mainstream news is one of the biggest ways it happens. The good news is that, because this is not all doom and gloom, is that many of us are onto this, and we see what's been happening, and we're tired of believing that somebody telling us that we should believe something is true, and we don't trust them. We don't understand why things are corrupt and why we're struggling, and there's very select few who are thriving at the expense of many. So I believe that it's important to recognize and to protect ourselves from this programming. So look around you in your life, and look around the world you live in, look around nature around you, the people that are around you, and you'll see that we are good people. Humans are fundamentally good, and we live in a beautiful earth, and there's so much joy, and there's so much love, and there's so much abundance. Leaves growing abundantly on trees. There's plenty to go around. We are not limited. We are limitless. However, we've never been taught that, and we have to retrain ourselves to understand how powerful we are. Jesus, who had the power to heal people with his hands, from what we've heard, cure the blind, heal people of diseases like leprosy. There are many other figures in the past, Mother Mary, Yogananda, Buddha, Muhammad, religious figures that are associated with traditional religions who have these magical powers, right? Well, guess what? So do you, and so do I, and so do we all. We all have these powers. But the traditional power structures, and how did I forget to leave out religion? That's a big one. The church, there's a couple, I won't name them but there are people that can think of some things with a certain church that's in charge of a lot of the world, where there's some very dark, scary things happening, and we wonder how can people be allowed to abuse children like this and be shuffled around? And I know I'm testing some of your worldviews. I'm saying some controversial things here, but it's about connecting the dots. There is something rotten in Denmark. There is something wrong. So back to the good. We are powerful, but we have not been taught. Back to what I was saying about the churches. They're scared. If we knew we could literally manifest things with our thoughts, that our thoughts could co-create our reality, along with our soul contract, because we come into each life to learn lessons. But if we knew, and if we could teach ourselves how to heal people with energy and with light, heal ourselves, our bodies, diseases, don't even get me started on cancer and what happens there. But we could live, we are limitless in our potential, almost like gods. We're godlike. Before we go down that route, what I mean by that is that I believe we are each pieces of this divine source of energy that lives within each of us, that this light, it is light, it is love, and it resides within each of us. We are that source. So that's what I do in Soulful Work Intuitive Consulting. That's why I'm doing this work. I am being called upon to share light, to help teach people how to activate themselves, because it is a little bit about DNA reactivation, and to receive a frequency from beyond. And I will go into another video sometime about other forms of life that are out there that want to help us and that want to help us in our expansion. There's a lot of taboo around other forms of life. Do you really think that we are the only forms of life in this amazing universe, and all the galaxies in there, all the planets? Like, really? Just doesn't make sense. Why would we be the only ones? And so there's a lot of questioning that goes into that. Why is it, well, I've never heard that. I've never heard that from anywhere in science. I've never learned that in any history book. They've only discovered water maybe on one planet, but they never discovered that. Well, Yeah, you've never been taught that, and neither have I, because it's been hidden from us. It's been hidden from us for thousands of years. It is very sad. It is very upsetting. If I walked up to you and said, guess what? You're adopted and your parents aren't your real parents, you would probably say, what are you talking about? And this is an angry response, right? Because it's like, it's shattering your worldview, your life, your world. That's what I went through, and that's what many people are going through. That may be where some of you are right now. And I'm hoping that through the work that many people are doing, including myself, that there's some support that you can find out there, because you are not alone, and it is scary, it is confusing, that you start to, there's even a risk of paranoia. Who can I trust? What can I trust? What's real? Am I dreaming? Am I living in the Matrix? Believe me, I went through all of this, and it can be a very lonely time. But there are so many of us are being activated. Many of us are awakening. It started for me. It starts for many people with seeing number sequences, 1111, and then it expands. And so for me now, I see like 222, 333, 1234, 717, 555. It's number sequences. It's number patterns. There's messages on license plates. There's messages through TV, and yes, we start to wonder. Well, wow, that sounds like borderline, a little crazy, right? And honestly, I do believe that many people who are in psychiatric hospitals who hear voices are actually very intuitive, very open, but it's uncontrolled, very ungrounded. So when this happens, at least for me, when you're opening, when you're expanding, when you're awakening, it is really important to understand you're human, you're here on earth. Yes, our reality is not what we thought it was. Yes, we've been tricked. Yes, there are so many illusions out there, but not everything. So trust your intuition. It doesn't mean that you need to sequester yourself and not trust everybody. There's so much out there on the internet, even in the realm of discovering disclosure, discovering truth. So be discerning. So having said all of that, my hope is that in this video there are some seeds that are just maybe not even being planted, but that are sitting around somewhere in your consciousness, and that you're considering, what if this might be true? It's upsetting. We go through the process of grief. I went through that with denial, with anger, with depression. Then I'm probably forgetting one. We get to acceptance. And then we cycle back through those again. And I went through the cycle many times, and and bargaining, that's the other one. Bargaining. Believe me, that's what this is like. This is like going through the process of grief. It's very upsetting when people that we've trusted, religious figures, political figures, people in entertainment, running the entertainment industry out in Hollywood, that we see that there's so much deception, and there's so many illusions, and it's very, very clever, and it's very, very advanced. Actually, it's difficult to spot some of the illusions and some of the trickery that happens. There's other places you can find more of this information. Wake Up World is a great website. I actually had an article published there called "I'm Not Going Insane. It's the Universal Awakening." And another one too about personal transformation in the natural world, so you can check those out. But I found Wake Up World to be a trustworthy website. There's also ones like Waking Times. There's some other ones out there that, but I find those ones to be really helpful, because they're sharing light and they're also sharing truth. And there's many other websites out there that are sharing truth, but some of them are very negative focused, and so that's where I tend to be a little hesitant. Hope this has been of help in some way. Hope that maybe you feel a little mind at ease if you have been experiencing these things and you're wondering what's been happening. And if you aren't sure what I'm talking about, and maybe you think it sounds kind of like crazy talk, just suspend your disbelief for a second and check out some of the other videos that I've done. This is our opportunity to connect with the earth again, to share food, to share resources, to barter, to do what fuels our soul, to make beautiful things with our hands, to be a healer, to teach, we are coming in to reestablishing our connection with ourselves, with our true spiritual selves, and with the earth, and with all the beings on the earth. That's what this shift in consciousness is about. And it is also about awakening and separating from the institutions that have confined us and restricted us and have hidden so much, so much from us. So it's time for us to break free. And we are, and you will if you're watching this. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Have a wonderful day.